Welcome to Just a Minute. Oh, thank you. Hello, my name is Nicholas Parsons, and as the minute waltz fades away, it's my huge pleasure to welcome you to this special edition of Just a Minute from BBC Television Centre. After 45 years of entertaining via the radio, we thought it was about time to perform this show for your viewing pleasure. So without further ado, please welcome to the show four talented performers, and they are seated on my right, Paul Merton and Marcus Brigstocke, and seated on my left, Stephen Mangan and Sue Perkins. Please welcome all four of them. The players will try to speak for just a minute on the subject that I give them, and they must try and do that without hesitation, repetition, or deviation. The other three panellists can challenge at any time they wish, and if I uphold the challenge, they gain a point. And if not, the person speaking gains a point and keeps the subject. We continue like that until the whistle goes, and whoever is speaking at that moment gains an extra point. And by the way, they can repeat the subject on the card in front of me. And Sue, would you take the first subject? Oh, that's an interesting subject. It's teacher's pet. They have 60 seconds as usual. Sue, starting now.
My teacher's pet was a chinchilla, a crepuscular rodent that loitered on the aggression scale somewhere between Mike Tyson and Anne Widdecombe. It had the softest fur but a temper of Satan, a little bit like myself when woken far too early in the morning. It sat in a cage on bedding made of paper, and we were tempted to play with it. However, my friend Alison stuck her finger through the bars and immediately was stabbed by these incredible front teeth. The screams echoed down the corridor. There would have been a nurse called, except I didn't go to the sort of establishment where there were members of the healing profession available. It's a terrifying creature, said Pet, and I would encourage people to stay away from them. In their natural habitat, it might well be that they are pleasant. However, when confined in an educational environment, they become incredibly upset. And I also suspect it was allergic. Well,
that was amazing. And you really deserve that resounding round of applause. That doesn't often happen when we've been playing this game for 45 years, and it has yet to happen in this particular series of Just a Minute. So congratulations, Sue. You started with a subject, you finished with a subject, you get a point for speaking when the whistle went, and also a bonus point for not being interrupted. So at the end of that round, Sue Perkins is in the lead. And we move to Stephen Mangan.
No pressure then, after that. Wow. That's how you do it. Just speak for a minute.
That is it.
Come on.
How hard can it be?
Don't worry. Don't be inhibited, because it very rarely happens, and she is exceptional at the game. So, Stephen, this is a good subject. Frankenstein. You have 60 seconds as usual, Stephen, starting now.
Frankenstein, or Frankenstein, as it's very rarely pronounced, is a novel by Mary Shelley, one of our finest authors. Her brother, Percy Bysshe, which is a name that sounds like a sound that Ivor the engine might make on arriving at a station, was a well-known poet. Her book is about a Dr. Victor Frankenstein, spelt with a K, and he created a monster from old body parts, tyres, ricotta cheese, string, fungus, and other items from the back of his refrigerator. This creature roamed the corridors of...
Oh, Sue, you've challenged.
Repetition of creature.
Yes.
Very good, though.
Well, that was something.
Well done, Stephen. Thank you. It's the first time he's played the game, and he went for the first time, therefore, with 42 seconds.
Wow.
Wow. Unfortunately, you've done all the hard work. Sue gets the subject, because it's a correct challenge. I agree with you, Sue. And you're still the only one who've got any points. And have 18 seconds. Tell us something about Frankenstein, starting now.
She was visiting Lord Byron at Lake Geneva and they were sat round the campfire when she conceived of Frankenstein. It was incredibly powerful at the time to think of stories associated with electricity, those Enlightenment issues that galvanised the nation. It's a gothic horror and one of my favourites.
So once again, Sue Perkins was speaking as the whistle when gained that extra point. And she's still the only one who's got any points in this one. Just a minute. But we're moving on to you, Marcus, now. The subject is your mum. That's the subject, not your mum. Talk on the subject of your mum, and there are 60 seconds as usual, starting now.
I think, like, the basically best way of discussing this particular topic is to do it in this particular voice, because most...
Oh, yes. Sue challenge.
Repetition of particular lag.
Got two particulars there, yes.
True.
And Sue, you're still the only one who got any points. You've got another one now, and you've got 53 seconds. Your mum, starting now.
My mum is fabulous. She looks a little like an owl, her glasses resembling a welder's goggles. She's timid, smart, and underestimates herself. She makes a fabulous Victoria sponge, but try telling her that and her cheeks will flush an almost extraordinary red. She's loud when needs be and can apply the back of a hairbrush to your buttocks quicker than Jack Knife. She is incredibly soulful.
Marcus challenge.
Deviation. Jack was famous for his use of a knife, not a hairbrush.
You're talking about Jack the Ripper?
No, absolutely not. Not
Which
at
Jack?
6 o'clock.
Jack the Knife?
Yeah, Jack Knife. So named for his speed with a knife, not a hairbrush. It was pretty spurious, Nicholas, but to be honest, I had to press, didn't I, at some stage?
Yeah, somebody has to speak, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what we do. Shall we give it to Stephen? He hasn't played the game very much.
What? Yeah, that
So, Stephen, in the 28 seconds, you tell us something about your mum, starting now.
Your mum smells of bacon. There, I've said it. It's something I've always wanted to speak aloud, but only now have I had the courage to talk. Perhaps she was bitten by a radioactive pig as a child. But whenever I see her, I have an urge to butter 2 slices of white bread and slap them either side of her and slaver red ketchup across her body, maybe some mustard, and then with my big teeth, and they are enormous, take a huge chunk out of her side because...
So Stephen Mangan was then speaking as a whistle when gained that extra point, and he's now in second place behind Sue Perkins, who's in the lead. And Paul Merton, we'd like you to begin the next round. The Wild West. Tell us something about that exciting subject in this game, starting now.
Well, I remember the days of Wild West, even if it was yesterday. James Gang rolled into town and the sheriff at the time, he didn't really pay attention. But I stood there, I said, listen, you're going to stand up to these boys, otherwise the whole place is going to be taken over and go to wreck and ruin. He said, listen here, old-timer, you may have no secret. Well, who buzzed then? Who buzzed? Who buzzed then?
I happen to be using this programme as an audition for the Royal Shakespeare Company.
I wondered if he'd had a stroke.
No, he hadn't. He was going in fine form.
I was just
in
worried.
Character. He was doing his audition piece, and he was doing one of his character studies. So that was an incorrect challenge, Paul.
Oh.
And you keep the subject, and you can keep the character too if you want. And there are 45 seconds for the Wild West, starting now.
I remember the first day I saw Maybelline, prettiest girl I ever saw.
Sue, you've challenged.
I remember the first day as a repetition.
Yeah, the repetition of that. Yes.
Short-term memory.
I know that.
Lack of.
Sue, a correct challenge. You have 43 seconds on the Wild West, starting now.
I wish I'd been alive in the Wild West, have stood there watching the gangsters mowing each other down, a sheriff with a badge standing...
Paul challenge.
Well, I don't think they were gangsters in the Wild West. It's been fairly well authenticated that they were cowboys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but they were like gangster cowboys.
Oh, I
isn't
see,
it?
gangster cowboys.
No, I think outlaws or cowboys, as you
Renegades.
say. No, gangsters, I think that's incorrect.
Right, absolutely
So,
agree.
so, Paul, you have a correct challenge. You have the subject back with you, the Wild West.
Do the voice, do the voice, do the voice, do the voice. Come on, Leah, come back and talk.
Can he sustain the voice? 36 seconds, starting now.
6 years old I was when I first saw my gold mine. I said to Papa, you gotta find another way of making money. He says, I'm gonna sell your teeth to the vet. I said, what's he gonna need them for? He's just a horse doctor. No, his voice has got better, it was pointed out to me. I said I wasn't referring to the quality of his vocal cords. I'm meaning what he's coming in a four-legged animal with an hole to his neck.
Marcus, you
There was a
challenged.
small deviation from the accent, which...
Oh, I spent some time in Devon.
Up until vocal coids...
Vocal coids.
...have been very impressive.
I thought it was a fairly solid.
I think it was fairly solid, too. I think the audience think it was fairly solid, don't you? Yes,
You always
right.
look to do something that's fairly solid in comedy.
Yes. So they're all with you, Paul, and you have 14 seconds. Another point. Wild West starting now.
I went to the Wild West in 1922 and the thing had completely turned different. I saw a toothless old man. He should have been here in the old days. There was a gold mine over there, and there was a...
Sue challenge.
A repetition of gold mine.
Yeah, I don't know many cliches, do I?
Oh dear, we wanted him to keep it going till
That's
the
all right,
end.
don't worry.
Oh yes. But Sue, that was a correct challenge, so we have to give it to you. And you've got 3 seconds on the Wild West starting now.
Okay.
Paul challenge.
Extraordinary hesitation.
Yes.
Extraordinary. You could have made a ham sandwich in then, couldn't you?
No, I'll give you a bonus point because we enjoyed the interruptions. But Sue was interrupted.
Absolutely.
It's a point for that. The Wild West, 2.5 seconds starting now.
I was a gold prospector and I came back to hurt Paul Merton's
Paul
action.
challenge.
She's doing my material.
So
I
have
learned
you got
from
a
the
challenge
master.
within the rules of
Yes,
Gentlemen?
it's ruining my income. On the back of the stage, you'll see wide old-timer, Wild West, toothless me.
But you said you were doing an audition for a part. Which plays you're going to be in, or which film?
Well, it's a rather radical interpretation of the importance of being earnest.
Came big to see.
And which part? Was that Ernest?
No, that was Lady Bracknell.
Oh, later on.
I did say it was radical.
That's going to be some show.
It's going to be some show.
So, no, Sue, an incorrect challenge. And you have half a second on the Wild West starting now.
Oh, Lordy!
So, Sue Perkins, speaking as the whistle went, gained that not all important, but that extra point, and she's now in a strong lead ahead of Paul Merton, Stephen Mangan, and Marcus Brigstocke in that order. And Sue, it's your turn to begin. The subject is the Puppet Master. Tell us something about that subject in this game, starting now.
We're aware of the puppet, but who pulls the strings? In this game of just a minute, it's Nicholas Parsons, who stands twitching our arms and legs, moving our mouths. We are merely vessels for his diseased light entertainment.
Right, Stephen, you challenge.
Something made me press it. I don't know what it was.
Was it the loud silver fox bellowing, "Come on, do a challenge"?
So what's your challenge?
My challenge is deviation.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely deviation.
I don't pull the puppet strings.
You don't pull
Yes,
no
he
strings.
does. Yes, he does. You don't see it.
I don't work them, they work themselves. Gosh, that was quick of you, Stephen.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased.
You were really on the ball there.
I know. Thank you.
So, correct challenge, Stephen. You have the Puppet Master and 45 seconds starting now.
I get taught Taekwondo at a rather unusual branch in Camden Town, and I'm about to be made a puppet master, which is the level up from Stairmaster, which is where I currently reside. To achieve this notoriety...
It's a musical.
Sue, your challenge.
Well, it was hesitation, but it also was light opera at the same time. I think worthy of a bonus point. But yeah, so it's hesitation.
Hesitation, right. 31 seconds are still available, Sue. The Puppet Master starting now.
Recently, I went to a marionette theatre in Salzburg and watched the puppet master do an extraordinary rendition of The Sound of Music, where the Julie Andrews character was actually less wooden than the original. It was marvellous to see this multi-limbed creature.
Marcus challenge.
Yes, hesitation.
Yeah, I think...
Extension on multi-limb.
I think she was running out of steam, and so we got to the point we call it hesitation. And Marcus, you got in with 15 seconds on the Puppet Master starting now.
For me, the ultimate puppet master is Mr. Jim Henson, who, of course, created the Muppets, which were my very favourite things when I was growing up as a lad. I was a huge fan of Animal on his drum kit, and in fact had a badge with his face on, which I absolutely loved. And I destroyed many...